some questions on Twitter. We got one from Jack, who's in the comments as well. Got Jack from Jack. He asked Mick, how good was Tom Eaves in the first half? Tom Eaves is starting to look like a proper Rotherby United striker, to be honest with you. We talked about the sort of setup to the goal that was disallowed and a few other bits, and he's getting game time. He's got 2 starts in a row. We're starting to see something really building there. And he's not going to get 25 goals a season, but he's going to be really useful alongside Hugo and alongside Nombe and maybe alongside Georgie. But we're how many episodes in a row now we're talking about Tom Eaves, and we haven't talked about him for 2 years or however long it's been. He's looking like he's fighting for the starting spot going to be every week now.
Yeah, I think he is, and we talked about this on the last podcast as well, didn't we? You know, and I agree with you. I don't think he is going to be a 20-goal a season man. I just don't at this level, and I hope I'm proved wrong. But he is a handful. It is a handful, and as much as Jordan Hugel's a handful, but he's quicker than Jordan Hugel. He's better in the press than Jordan Hugel. And he doesn't go down as much as Jordan Hugel does. Whether he's got the finishing prowess of Hugel is another matter altogether, isn't it? I don't think he has, but he may prove us wrong with that. Yeah, he's doing really, really well. I'm really impressed with him, and he can only get better as he gets more game time. So, is he the answer to our goal scoring problems? Probably not, realistically. But he's got a big part to play. There's no doubt about that. I think in the last podcast we compared him to Jukovic at Birmingham, didn't we? You know, he's a player that can make an impact, who will score your goals, who will cause problems for defences at times, depending on who you're playing and so on. So long may it continue, you know, because as you say, he will improve, he will get better with more game time. Let's be fair, he's not played for virtually 2 years.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. You know, so he's got a lot more to give, and at a time when we need players who've got more to give. So long may it continue. Got a lot of time for that lad. He's obviously worked really, really hard to learn his place back in the squad, and he's having an impact in the games as well. And hopefully, like I said, that'll continue to improve, and it'll get more and more involvement and some bag some goals for us, hopefully.
Jack also says that it doesn't seem that Kelly's in Leo Richardson's plans. Could we potentially ship him out and get a bit of cash? Yeah, that's been noticeable, Danny, that Georgie Kelly was the go-to man initially for Paul Warne. I think Tom Eaves was injured, to be fair, in the Championship, and Matt Taylor, he was, if it wasn't Jordan Hugel, it was Georgie Kelly. Tom Eaves couldn't get a look in, whereas now it seems that we've got Nombe, so Nombe and Hugel still probably have chosen 2, but it's Tom Eaves is the man up rather than Georgie Kelly. Georgie Kelly's not a 21-year-old kid or 22-year-old kid where it doesn't matter if he doesn't play for 6 months because there's always next season. He probably needs to be playing every minute that he can possibly get. What do you think the season and the rest of his contract holds for a good old Georgie?
I think we sort of saw it a bit under Matt Taylor, where Georgie didn't get a look in for a certain amount of time, and then it sort of clicked how Georgie fits into everything. And I don't think it's clicked for Richardson yet. Like, we had that stint of Georgie coming on in the last 10-ish minutes if he was lucky in a game. And then it sort of clicked like, oh, that's what he's capable of. And I just don't think the shoes dropped with Richardson. I think we've seen flashes of it with Georgie, but nowhere near to change Richardson's mind. Maybe it's a case of purely for Georgie's career and him improving his football to some degree other than just in training, maybe a loan out somewhere, purely for game time and minutes sake. But I think with Georgie, he's just so much of a different striker to what we've got. Like, you could say that Hugel and Eaves are sort of in a similar vein. And then Nombe sort of like the pacey one who likes to get in and press, but he's also a strong lad, whereas Georgie does a little bit of everything, but he's not excelling at one particular thing. And I think that's the unorthodox nature of Georgie, that some managers take a while to cotton on to. Like, there's no disrespect to managers because they're far better at managing football teams than I am, don't get me wrong. But we've sort of seen it with Warne, how he was a little bit unsure about Georgie to begin with, and then suddenly, that's what he's capable of. We saw it with Taylor, like I said, last 10 minutes or so, and then suddenly he can actually change a game and cause chaos. And I just don't think it's got there for Richardson yet. I think if we hang on to Georgie through January, we'll probably see it maybe February time. But if Georgie goes out on loan purely for minutes' sake to, like, say, a team possibly playoff level League One potentially, I wouldn't say no to that because it's to Georgie's benefit as well as ours potentially.
Maybe he could go to Peterborough and be captain.
Yeah, exactly. We could go to Peterborough and be captain, upset Darren McAntony again, just for laugh, why not? But yeah, so it's sort of a win-win for Georgie. I think it's a win in the case of he's still playing Championship football, maybe not as many minutes as he wants, but as fans, we know what he is capable of. But at the same time, if he goes out somewhere else, it's still improving his game. It's still getting minutes under his belt. And that could lead to further development with us or further development elsewhere. So whichever route we decide to take, I'm sort of happy with. Like, don't get me wrong, I want George to stay with us. However, for the sake of a career in football, I also understand if it goes a different route.